Hello everyone, it's Alana and welcome back to our channel. It's a solo video, just me, and I am going to be talking about how much books remind me of food, and I don't just mean that in the literal sense that like knowledge is food, fuel for your body. No, I mean that like books can be compared to different food and this is what they would be. Young adult is like a family chain, Applebee's, Olive Garden, Boston Pizza for you Canadians. It is familiar, it is reliable, it's exactly what you want it to be. You know when you order off that menu that you're gonna get what you want, and sometimes it goes off the deep end, sometimes it's terrible, think Divergent, but other times it is amazing and it's lovely and it might be more to your taste, and maybe that's like a John Green. It's also easy to swallow, it's not complicated, it's not hard, it's not something you have to try new things or maybe experiment a lot. It's exactly what you think it's gonna be. Fantasy books are like a home-cooked meal. It always feels familiar and comfortable, and it's exactly how you like it most of the time until Uncle Jim comes in and is all drunk because it's Thanksgiving and he's yelling about some sports game that you don't understand, and maybe it goes a little bit over your head or gets a little bit deeper than you anticipated, but in the end I feel like we always come back to fantasy. It's always what we crave, is that fantastical representation of the world, and for me that could also be things like just my mom's pastas. Overall, fantasy is that home-cooked meal that everybody wants to go back to. Poetry books are like that bougie restaurant that is way too much money for what you get, and you go and you think you're not going to be satisfied. They bring out the portions and they're like this big and you're paying $20 for each one of them, and then you take a bite and it is so rich that you feel just as full as if you had read a 500-page novel or eaten a full meal, but you probably still paid a little bit more for it than you should have. Like why are the appetizers, they're always this big, like the portions are this big. I don't understand, and it's like $36. Like why? Online fanfic is the gas station food of books. It is literally everywhere. It's always terrible. You always feel guilty after indulging in it, and maybe once in a while you find one that you feel guilty about in a good way. Think jalapeno taquitos at 7-Eleven, but overall the genre, just you don't want to talk about it, you don't want anyone to know you read it, and especially you don't want anyone to know that you go out in the middle of the night to 7-Eleven to get those taquitos when you can't sleep and lay in bed and read the taquitos. I don't do that. No. Romance, and specifically bad romance, think Twilight, is the fast food of books. You can find it anywhere. If you're in an airport and you don't know what else to eat/read, you know that you can just go to the store and get some McDonald's or get some Nicholas Sparks. It is super easy to get down. It maybe makes you feel a little bit, especially when it's 5 a.m. and you're drunk and you get those nuggets for the first time in what feels like forever, when really you ate right before you went out, and you are crying because you were so happy and you're so sad and you're just so many emotions. But in the end you actually end up regretting it. It's not something that you try to make a habit out of, reading these bad romances, but overall it's not something that you quite feel guilty enough to hide. Am I the only one that gets emotional over nuggets? Biographies are just like a steak and potatoes dinner, just bare minimum classic. They can be quite bland, or they can be really exciting. If that's what you love, if you love steak and potatoes, then fantastic, that's great. You can season it all you want, try all the different ways to eat your steak, but for a lot of people, that's just not what they're into, and for them that would be a really boring meal to eat. Historical fiction is like a specific diet that someone is on that they tell you about maybe a little bit too much. I'm thinking vegans, paleo, things like that. It's great for them. It's great that they enjoy that and that they benefit, and they probably honestly are helping their body. I know that I indulge in not eating very much meat myself, and I do love me some Philippa Gregory and Outlander, so I'm not trying to say anything bad, but I do find that with historical fiction and with these specific diets, people are a little bit on a high horse about how they read these things and how it's odd that you don't, and they might try to tell you more information than you really need to know for your own diet. Because they can have their diet, and we'll just be over here enjoying our bad romance gas station taquitos over here. And that's all I have for you guys today about how books are foods. I know I missed a couple categories there, but if you can think of ways that your books are like food, whether it's a specific novel compared to a specific meal, or if it's genres in general, I would love to hear it down in the comments below. Otherwise, you can follow us on Instagram, as well as subscribe here if you haven't already. We put out a new video every week. Next week's video will be with Mandy as well, so if you missed her, sorry, but she's not here today. I don't think we have a way of signing off yet, so goodbye! My stomach! Talking about food and books makes me hungry.